What this is, like I said, what we're looking at is we're looking at a media shift. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at a media shift. We're looking at a situation where people are like the media. They want somebody to be the butt of the joke. And so the man is the butt of the joke. They're looking for somebody to take the blame. So the man takes the blame. Okay, that's what's happening. And you can't do that, because when you do that, you're basically creating an environment that is not healthy, because it gets in the back of people's minds that men are this way, that all of them are evil, that all of them are wrong, and blah, blah, blah. And it builds up all these stereotypes, which don't exist. Good, strong, healthy men, you know, just like the video said, because I'm not trying to disagree with it, or what almost every single Black woman and Latino woman and white woman and whatever, Asian woman, that's what they want. That's what you guys want. That's exactly what you want. It's a part of the non-negotiable. But in order to do that, in order to foster that, you have to have an environment that leans toward that, that encourages that. And we have to understand that when we don't get that, that's exactly what creates the very environment that makes it where, you know, a lot of you ladies are single, or the fact that men are abandoning you and your children, or they're not protecting you, or they're using you. Don't you want a partner? Or do you want a situation where, you know, you're just kind of out here on your own? So that is what the war entails. So I am going to open this up so everybody can, I love that, Sharifa. That was awesome. Danny, haven't seen you in a long time. I'm gonna let you talk first.
Hi, Gail. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I've been traveling and working hard and just trying to get back to some sort of life. But happy to be back and happy to hear that there is a New York City chapter. I pray for that. So that's awesome. And as usual, I put most of my comments in the chat. I'm not much of a talker, but yeah, I mean, I just thought that the presentation was really, really good. I mean, while I was aware, as perhaps most of us are, of the, I guess, the feminizing of men and some of the stereotyping that we saw in the video, I honestly did not realize how extreme and how overt it has become. So that was very eye-opening for me. And I think, to sort of reiterate what I said in the chat, I mean, part of it is we're all responsible for, I think, addressing what we see, right? And that's one of the things that I really like about this group. We're taking real social trends, real occurrences, and we're trying to examine it through our relationship with Christ, which is exactly what I'm about. I do think, however, that when we start to suggest that women aren't doing their part, or women aren't staying fit, or women aren't doing this, or women aren't doing that, as the genesis of why men are under attack, I feel attacked by that comment. I'm not sure if any of my, my peers on the group feel that way, but I think that rather than try to blame, as I think Davida said, which Davida is always a voice of reason, so thanks, Davida. Rather than blame, I think we should all be trying to figure out how we pull in the same direction and figure out how we need to each play a role in correcting what obviously has gone wrong.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, one thing that we have to understand too, this is not about women here. This is not saying that women are the blame of all of what's happening. I think it's mainly pushed by media, and it's pushed by who's going to purchase. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Derek Jackson. So for you ladies that have listened to him or watched him about his book, or books, plural, I've never been a fan of his. And the main reason why I'm not a fan of him is because from the very beginning, I always felt that he was phony. Women, you know, if you guys haven't figured it out, you know, I'm sure you have, you guys really make up a lot of money when it comes to the dating scene. And so it's easier to tell you what you want to hear and make money off that than it is to try to bring up troubling subjects. But you have to realize that everybody's doing that now. Okay? Tyler Perry has become a billionaire off of women. Okay? When you had Steve Harvey and he was pushing everything he was doing, why was he doing that? Because he was making money off of women. It wasn't like men were buying his books. But when did he sit down and really try to teach women, not the little small things like, hey, wait 90 days before you have sex, but maybe, hey, you're picking the wrong guy, or you're not looking at this social construct that is happening. Those are the types of things that we talk about over here, because I recognize that most people, if left alone, they're going to get in relationships. I mean, almost everybody on this thing, I think if we didn't have the pandemic, you might have gone in and out of a relationship over the last 2 years, but you'll find them. You'll find plenty of guys that want to talk to you, and or women, you know, for the guys. So if you're missing something, what's missing, and how can we really talk about that? So when you're starting to talk about even a subject like this, I'm not blaming women for the feminization of men. What I'm saying is we have a media outlet that is doing something, and what it's doing is it's making money. Okay, and women are easy prey. You all's desire for relationships, your desire for love, it's being manipulated by the system. And because men don't generally spend their money in that way, the media is not pumping money in that. Like if you go to the average 25-year-old male's house, 25 to 30-year-old, you're going to see a TV, an Xbox, a PlayStation, a couch, okay, and probably a bed. And ain't gonna be nothing else in there. Okay, you go to a woman's house, you know, apartment at the same age, you're gonna see decorative pillows, you know, you're gonna see a throw blanket, you're gonna see pictures on the wall. Why? Because women spend their money totally differently than men spend their money. And you have to realize people are sitting around in New York City, in Atlanta, in DC, in LA, and what they're doing is figuring out, how can I take women's money? So they're working on things to do that. That's why I'm not blaming women. I don't want women to think that this is a blame on them. It has nothing to do with that. This is a media system, a commercialized system that is out to grab every single solid dime that they can. And they don't care about helping you. It's all about how much money can I get? And Derrick Jackson, the reason why I like to use him as an example is because if you don't know who he is, he basically ended up cheating on his wife. And then he manipulated that and wrote a book about that just so he could make more money. And there's still women listening to him. Okay, he is showing his cards that he does not care at all. And it's just like Sean Williams' video said, nobody in CSC, at least right now, none of us getting paid. And we've been doing this for 2 years. Okay, so I'm hoping that people understand that we're out to help, and we're trying to help, and we're trying to really kind of get that flow going. Come on, Adeze.
Yeah, hello, everyone. Thank you for this. It's another wonderful presentation. And as a woman, I don't feel blamed by anything you said. You are correct. That's my observation. In fact, I noticed this over 10 years ago when I was just a new mom. I was breastfeeding my child in a church, in a nursing room, and something just came to me and said, the American male is being feminized. I heard this like over 10 years ago in my mind. So fast forward, today is like out of whack. I mean, 10 years from now is going to be even worse. So I completely agree with everything you've said. there is a feminization of men for sure going on. It's an attack on the male. Someone said in the chat that the media should not be strong enough to change society. I disagree because I wasn't born in this country, but I remember when I came here, how shocked I was by the domination of your media. I mean, it's everywhere. I can't turn it off. I mean, it is everywhere, really. Maybe if you're born here, you don't really see it. You kind of become immune and inured to it. But as a newcomer back then, I was so shocked. It's like 24/7. That's really what it is. When I grew up, it was the TV would go off at maybe 12 midnight and everyone would go to bed. And then you wake up the next day at 7 and you start, you know exactly how long, you know, you expect to be in front of the TV. But here is your media, is your TV, is your podcast, is your radio, is your magazines, is your, I mean, so of course that would change people's mind if you keep hearing that consistently, even if you're not paying attention. The fact that people are around you are talking about that consistently is enough to change your mind. It's very subtle. So that has the media here, especially Hollywood, has a strong, very strong hold on this society. And that's why personally, I don't pay to go watch movies. I don't give Hollywood my money. I don't do that because they've shifted the mindset so strongly. They're the ones driving this, this agenda to do whatever. But I mean, we can recognize that as an attack on men. Going by my knowledge, and you can correct me, many decades ago, it was the woman that was attacked with the whole burn your bra. We can do the same thing as men. What a man can do, woman can do, decades ago. So the woman kind of threw off her conservative nature and her submissive nature and became kind of assertive, I guess. Let me use that word. Let me not say rebellious. Let's say assertive. So that was decades ago. So many years since then, is now the man's turn to get attacked. So yeah, I completely agree with you. My perspective is slightly different since I wasn't born here, but those have been my same observations. And thank you for having me.
No, thank you. And, and like I said, I mean, I think a lot of people, kind of can get it, especially like I said, because I see it with people from overseas. The women overseas are just a little bit different. And I also agree, women were attacked. And I do think that people need to kind of understand that. And we do need to keep that in perspective, that a lot of what we're seeing, some of it, a lot of it's coming from pain. And we talk about that a lot in this group, is that, you have, whether it's the women's movement, whether it's the African-American movement, whether it's Native American movement, Latino movement, whatever it is, there's a lot of pain. But just because you've gone through pain, that's one of the things about being Christian, is you're supposed to be able to at least try to move beyond that, because that's one of the things that Jesus was trying to get us to do. That's why he said, hey, if your enemy smacks you on the cheek, give them the other one. You got to move beyond the pain. Not to say that somebody has to abuse you, but you have to get beyond the pain. And so I think for a lot of the new women's movement, not the old stuff, but the new stuff, is that they're so worried about that pain that they're pushing even harder, because they've gotten equality, but now they're trying to push beyond it. And it's the same thing, I think, with any marginalized community, is that there is a point where, okay, you're at a balance and you need to kind of maintain or try to encourage that balance, but at the same time, not trying to push so hard that you're trying to fully take over and control, because just control just leads towards manipulation. But come on, Sharifa.
Awesome. So thank you. How do you pronounce your name? Adez? Is that how you pronounce your name?
Adeze.
Adeze. Very pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just to piggyback off of what you said, you can't consume, I won't say you can't, because you can do whatever you want in a free country, but I don't consume all this stuff all over the internet. Like it goes back to, like you said about advertising. It's programming. Advertising is programming. They're programming us to build a market to buy all the latest Apple products. You don't need all the latest Apple products. If you want to purchase them, do that. But same thing with movies and TV. It's programmed to, just the hookup culture. That's something that's programmed. That doesn't mean we necessarily have to follow that. And so, to me, it's very important that I control kind of what input is coming into my brain, because what you consume is what you begin to agree and believe with, and that just turns into a spiral. But I was a little also concerned about like the comment section getting a little tacky, and I kind of also mentioned this, but just like, the only thing we control is our behavior, and what we put out in the world. So instead of using this as a forum to attack each other, like we're here to learn and to see the men's view, the women's view, so we can eventually get off a CSE forum and live our happily ever after. So I guess like hopefully we can stay focused on the task at hand here, and understand that we can only control ourselves. So that was kind of what I wanted to contribute.
Cool, cool. Come on, Tashawn.
Hey, I'm
Hey,
driving, so I have no idea what's in the chat because I'm driving. But
are you driving? I thought you was in the jungle. I thought you was on vacation.
I'm driving in the jungle. I am. I'm driving in the jungle.
There you go.
So I wanted to say one that we as believers have the option, we have the opportunity to hear the hurt or the struggle or the issues of each other, whether it's a difference of sex or age or whatever, and we can look at it as something that we are not doing, or we can look at it as what can I do about it. And so if we're kind of in this together, if we're choosing to show the love of Christ to one another, then that's the charge that we have, is not to say it wasn't me, but what am I in the position to do about it? I think that unfortunately, sometimes we look at things as not our problem. And that goes back to what you were talking about, Jay, in the slide. I mean, we're talking about men, but weak people in general, they choose to be passive and not address issues when the opportunity arises. It's not to say you got to go and start a march, but if you're hearing someone that's doing something to be wrong, are you addressing it, or are you agreeing by your silence? One thing that I find really interesting, and media definitely, and it's not just like online, it's not, I mean, it's social media, it's news, it's all kinds, it's advertising, billboards, it's all kinds of stuff that project a certain type of image or concept, and you start seeing it in like the t-shirt graphics and different things like that that are permeating our psyche of what we should think. And then you see these images of cartoons or reality shows or TV shows or whatever, where there's this consistent concept that normalizes certain things. So one thing that I see all the time is people doing something that is fine when they do it, but reprehensible when someone does it to them. And one thing that we love all the time now is this relationship stuff, whether it's reality or drama or, comedy, whatever. But we see where men are demonized for being players or different things like that. And then when a woman does something very similar, it's treated as if, well, she was just keeping her options open, or she could do better, and it's just very interesting to me because I keep seeing that over and over again. And the pile on of, why are you saying that she's wrong and that's not fair and she's being mistreated and she's the queen and blah blah blah. And it's like, how is everybody missing the fact that men are being treated one way for doing the exact same thing? And it's not a male female thing. It's just a point of acknowledging the brainwash. It's just a point of seeing that, wait a minute, why would it be okay for one sex to do something when it's not for somebody else to do something? Am I really seeing what's really going on here? And how's that manifesting in our everyday life? Am I supporting my friend in doing something that is, oh, you keeping your options open, you living your best life, YOLO, whatever. But then when a man does it, he don't care about nobody's feelings. He's doing this, he's doing that. There needs to be something said about the double standard that we're portraying, and the fact that if it's not okay, it's not okay, no matter who's doing it. Unfortunately, we're in a society where personality is more important than character. And that is what we're not teaching our children. That's not what we're not holding ourselves accountable to or each other. Is it doesn't matter what the outside looks like if your inside is messed up.
There you go. Now, not to Sean did her mic drop. Come on, Nikki.
All right, yeah. I did make a comment in the chat about, even though media has a lot of influence, and it does, and I agree, I just feel like the family and community leadership should have a stronger influence than the media, and I believe it did in the past, but now all of a sudden that's changed, and there is a lot of manipulation and things going on behind the scenes in the media. However, I feel like, especially as Christians, if we're living by example, teaching our children, teaching kids in the community to live a certain way, even if they, kind of go the other way for a little bit, I think they'll eventually come back to what is real and what's true. And I think that, there just needs to be more accountability with everyone to make that happen. And just not say, well, this media is so strong, we just have to pretty much let it be what it is. No, like, there's people who are not all like that. But there are a lot of bad images with Black women on TV, especially if you're coming from a single mother household. There's a lot of stereotypes associated with that. That doesn't mean that we're all like that. So I think just showing that there's so many other varieties in us, and that there's ways to combat those negative stereotypes, I think that's essential. And like I said, the best way to do that is to live by example and just show that there are other ways to live.
No, I'm again in agreement with that. I have no problem with that, because I think we all have to kind of make moves. I think that the family, dynamic is really under attack. There was something, I don't know if it's in the Bible or not. I wish Sean White was on, Minister Sean, because he would probably know exactly what verse, but I thought that there was a verse. I tried to find it, I couldn't find it. There was something I thought that was in the Bible that says something to the point where, you would know the times are near when whoever has been on top is now on the bottom, and blah, blah, blah. And I think that we're kind of in that regime right now.
Yeah.
I'm like I say, I've tried to encourage, let a lot of people know, for me, and I think most of the men on the call, all of our lives, women have been equal. All of our lives. We don't really understand a world where women were not equal. So what happens many times is that, like with a lot of things, a lot of current men are being blamed for what men in the past did. Did my daddy do some things? Yeah, he probably did, but I didn't do them. And I live in Atlanta. Are there some bad things that have happened here in Atlanta? Yeah, but for the most part, Atlanta's a great place today. I can't worry about where it was 50 years ago. I have to be worried about it where it is right now. And I think that that's one of the things that people also need to understand to get over their pain. Because a lot of times I think that there are a lot of people, whether it's the media or whatever, they're harboring pain and anger and frustration from a situation that was outside of their spectrum. And even once you start to even really think about that, we need to understand, how did a scenario happen before that might have put you in the pain scenario that you are in today? Because that's what we're trying to get out of. You know, I know a lot of the ladies on the call. I mean, we've been doing this now, like I said, for 2 years. So I know a lot of the women on the call, single moms. And it's painful, it's hard. I mean, I've literally listened to some of you cry and, you know, have, you know, deep emotions about raising children, you know, by yourselves. And that's the part that I'm trying to get across. We need men to stand up and be there for you. But weak, passive men aren't going to do it. It has to be the masculine man. That is the only man that's going to stand by your side. That is the only man that is going to be there, because being masculine means you want to invest in your children. Because now it's not that you are populating the earth, it is that you're concentrating your knowledge, your energy, your spirit into the child. And you care because the child is important to you. It's not just because you created a kid. Come on, Sean Williams.
Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jay, good job in the presentation. You know, I know Tashawn talked about how women they can do the same thing as men, but be treated differently. And it's always been like that. You know, I learned a long time ago, if you see a guy drunk out on the street, and he went to church the next morning, the guys would laugh and make fun of him. But if you see a woman out drunk on the street, you know, they're labeling her as a lady of the evening and got all kinds of names when she go to church. So it's always been like that. The stereotyped roles is always going to be like that. The problem that I'm having is that society, you know, they've been tearing down family values for decades, you know, slowly, but now I see it more and more at a rapid growth with the new marriages that are taking place and things like that. So overall, I see that the world is getting worse. Y'all know me, y'all know I hang around dudes a lot, you know, and the things that I hear and their mindsets of a lot of the men, it disturbs me that this is how they're thinking. You know, Joseph was absolutely right. The men that I do know, and y'all know me, I'm a techie, you know, so I know guys that are techie, especially in New York. Techies make six figures. I'm from New York. A lot of my friends are techies in New York. They make six figures. Their mindset and the way they treat women, to me, it's horrible. It's horrible. So now I'm down here in Atlanta, and because of the ratio of men to women, I'm meeting a lot of men down here that think it's okay to take advantage of women, you know, that it's expected, that it's a culturally acceptable norm. So when I look at all of this, I say that to say, when I look at all of this and I look at the environment, the bottom line is, yeah, even though I don't really listen to the media, the people around me do, the world around me do. So it's going to have some effect on me. So I need to learn how to navigate through all of this nonsense that the media is putting into other people and how they're treating each other and the breakdown. I still have to navigate and live in that society because I'm not going to go into a shell. The only thing I can do is just get myself together, find a woman that's got herself together. And then in our little corner of the world, we can have the family values that we need. You know, we can't change the world. The thing I'll always remember every time I look at society and how bad it's getting, the Bible reminds me that it's going to get worse. Like, why are you surprised? Last days are coming. It's going to get even worse. The breakdown of the family is going to get even worse. They're redefining all the words that, like, we're redefining words. You know, now on TV, you got women calling each other bees and hoes. In fact, there's a whole show about it. I watch Amazon TV a lot, and there's a whole show about these big women calling each other bees and doing flips and shakes and all this other stuff. It is crazy how they're redefining how we need to treat each other. And this is all black. This is black. This is not white. This is not Chinese. This is black. These are black shows. So, you know, what Jay's talking about is absolutely right. I'm seeing the repercussions of it. The only thing I can do is, you know, like the guys that I talk to, deal with them one at a time. And that's what I do. You know, for the guys that are in this group that I'm close to, they talk to me, they know I keep it real. I'll be like, bro, you need to reevaluate yourself on the attractiveness scale, you know, because they want somebody that looks like Holly Berry. You know, I talk to them just like that. You know, the reality is that we need to deal, we need to deal with reality as it is and not create our own. Because if you create your own, you live alone. I know my 4 minutes is up. Got to go talk to you guys.
I'm sorry. I thought you was actually done. I'm sorry.
I'll let somebody else go. Shandell looks got his hand up next.
I wanted to say this really quick before we go to him, because we need to remember again that while things are getting bad, and I know for all the people who aren't Black, you know, we've been kind of focusing on that today, but I want you to understand what's happening in the Black community is going to bleed over into the white community, the Latino community, and the Asian community.
Already happening.
Already happening. It is. It's already, what you're saying is true. It's already happening. Because what happened when we came out of slavery was that the Black man could not protect the Black woman. That is where it comes from. Okay, he literally could not, because he was killed, he was murdered, he was picked up and sent to jail. Okay, we know these things happen. Okay, so the Black man literally could not do it. So the Black woman had to do it. It's only been in the last 50 years or so that the Black man has been able to protect. But you have to realize 400 years went by where Black women, that's all they knew, was to take care of their families. So you have to realize this is a shift for Black women to do. But what we see in the current Black community is an example of, first of all, what will not only bleed into the other communities, but if the Black community doesn't get it under control, it's gonna, every Black man you run into is going to be this weak little thing, take care of me. Okay, that's exactly what's coming. You know, it might not be right now. That's about, and let's be real for a second, because we've talked about this before, 70% of African-American children are raised in single parent homes. So that is 70, I don't think maybe all of that, maybe 50%, you know, are bad guys, maybe 20% is just a divorce and the man is still supporting his children. But it could be 50% of Black men just have said, you know what, yeah, I don't want to be a dad. I don't want to be a man. I just want to run off and make more babies.
Jay, sorry, I wanted to say something. Jay, can you hear me? I just want to add something. Sorry, I'm cooking. I hope it's not too noisy. This is not a Black issue. I mean, I understand that the group is predominantly, you know, Black American. I'm not American, but it's not. I've observed, and it's an American issue. It's a uniquely American issue because the white male is also under attack.
No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. All I'm saying is,
yeah, but he's. I mean, I don't know if you're following the Johnny Depp trial, and this thing actually began with the Me Too movement when they first wanted to take down, you know, powerful guys who were, you know, legitimately asses. Okay, they were criminals, and then he moved on to, you know, men who were maybe powerful but not that criminal. You know, guys like Matt Lauer and Charlie Rose and Stephen Skip, and then he's now moved on to ordinary men, and he's now moved on to young boys. So even in schools, the young male is not allowed to be himself. So it's not a Black issue. I don't really, that's a kind of an insult. I know that's not what you're saying, but this is a purely American issue and it's affecting every group in different ways.
Well, no, I agree with that. The only reason why I was saying as a black thing is just so we can understand an example, so we can see a real world example of what happens when it gets bad. Okay, because you're right. It's an American issue, but I think people feel it in the African American community very strongly. And I know even for me, when I have talked to people outside of the Black American women, whether that might be, I'm not gonna lie, I've dated different cultures, I've dated different people from around the world, and I run into a lot of African women that have told me that I don't know if I want to date a black man because I've heard black men are bad. And so that's kind of what I'm saying. It's other cultures picking up on it. It is something that's major, but it's such a big thing in the Black community that it has stretched around the world. Where I think in the white community and in the Latino community, Asian community within America, it hasn't stretched around the world yet. So that's kind of what I meant by that. Chandel, did you still have something you wanted to say? Because I saw your hand went down. I see you walking with the phone. Chandel? I guess not. I don't even know if he can hear me. Come on, Gene.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate this forum. Appreciate everyone on the call. When you said weak men say, come take care of me, well, I got a rash on my back, because just to hear those words just totally goes against the way I believe. Weak men allowing women to just take care of them. That's not my posture, and I don't think that should be any man's posture. I know we're on the clock here. I like to say therapy works. Therapy has brought me a long way. I'm divorced. And, I was one of those wolves out in the village, just taking carnage of the land. And so I was kind of reborn in my brokenness, not to do that anymore. So, I'm serving my community, serving my children. And I really appreciate this forum and the men that spoke before Sean W. spoke. I really appreciate the words he spoke, moving from New York to Atlanta, and how the culture was and how he's serving as an ambassador for goodwill, good men that are trying to do good things and serve their community, their families, and the women within their communities. Peace.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Jamar, Mr. Nixon.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great. So I'm taking myself off of mute, and I apologize. I'm traveling. I'm in Charlotte right now at a friend's place. So I have a couch that I'm not that familiar with that I'm sitting on. First, I want to thank you for giving me some time to talk. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, but I heard about this group because I have friends in Atlanta. So I travel back and forth occasionally. I wanted to give a little bit of perspective in terms of, I know there's been a lot of talk about the media influencing the perspective on who gender roles and who should be doing what. I grew up in a multi-generational household. It was my maternal grandparents. My mom was a single mother for the most part because of a bunch of shenanigans. And then myself and my brother. And growing up that way, we saw a lot of everyone did work. Like my grandfather was former military, so he was running a military commissary. My grandmother worked, my mom worked, and then we did a bunch of variety of things too. And I came from that perspective, knowing that I didn't want to see that. So I took my time in dating and actually took off of dating for multiple years while I built up, gained degrees, built up my career, did a bunch of things just to put myself in position to be ready. And when I started dating people again, I noticed that everyone wanted to still, when I asked questions about it, people were still maintaining their careers. I asked them, did they want to be more stay at home or if they wanted to continue their careers? And a lot of women that I met said that they would want to continue their careers in some way, shape, or form. So I did want to kind of bring that perspective in terms of the utilitarianism in it. I've met a lot of people who in the partnerships, they said that they want both partners to be able to work and build and expand the pie that way versus it being the man taking the entirety of everything out in the world, if that makes sense. And I just want to get a little bit of context and feedback on that, just because that's how I've seen it growing up. And also a lot of my friends and colleagues who are now married, they've also been doing the same thing, especially a lot of my Black friends. I have a friend who's a VP at a bank who, because of a lot of things that happened, her husband was unable to work, and she took up a lot of that work and that burden, but that still kept their household and kept their marriage intact because of it. So I just wanted to throw that out there and get some feedback on that perspective.
Oh, I mean, my perspective is just whatever works for you and your family. Like I said, I mean, I do think that women and men are equal. And when I put the quotes on there, it's just simply because from a spiritual perspective, we look at, the man being the head of the household, but it doesn't mean that the woman is not coming in with a lot. And I have friends who, one of my friends in particular, I really liked the way him and his wife were able to handle the situation, because it was just like what you were saying. They had a brand new baby girl, and he did not want the baby girl to basically go to babysitter. And so he quit his job because he was getting paid a little bit less than his wife. And he stayed at home for 2 years to take care of the little girl. And his wife supported him. She never looked down upon him. And then as soon as the little girl became 2 years old and was vocal enough to say if somebody was abusing them, that's when abusing her, that's when they put her in daycare. And that's when he went back and got a job. So I believe that it works depending upon, the relationship dynamic within, the relationship. I also have seen plenty of women, even, different race women saying, you know what, I don't want to work. I just want to sit at home. So I think that if that works for you all, then that works. I do think that if I was a woman and my man said, all I want to do is sit at home and be a house husband, I think I would be a little cautious. Not to say that, you can't marry that dude and be with that dude, but I would be just a little cautious because, generally that type of energy comes with something. So that's the only thing I would say from that. Also, real quick, we are getting close to the quote unquote end. It doesn't mean we can't continue to talk, but I did want to go ahead and pray us out before we go. And I also want to, again, encourage people to use their cameras as much as possible, especially the men. Also, I encourage men to always speak up. Women love to hear from men. They really, really love to hear from men. I get that comment all the time. Can we hear more from the men? Can we hear more from the men? Can we hear more from the men? Because women love that. And if you're really interested in a lot of the women that hang out on CSC, remember, women are attracted to men who lead, who are assertive, who are talking about who they are. So please, 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 guys, always remember, I will shut up. I don't mind shutting up and letting you guys talk and do whatever it is that y'all want to do, because I want to show that you're awesome, okay? Because there's a lot of really great guys that come out. So just that really quick, always, again, pictures and or video if you can, because again, if you really want to find your person, I'm doing my best. I'm doing all I can. But remember, especially ladies, guys are attracted to what you look like. So we want to make sure that you're seen, if nothing else, that you can put up a picture. That's really important. So we're going to pray us out, and then I'm going to get to the next person because we're really close to 1 o'clock. Lord God, I just thank you so much for everybody today. I thank you for just blessing us and just moving upon us. I thank you so much for all the people that came out, that spoke, that will speak. And I just know, Lord God, that you're going to bless them. So I ask that you would just watch over them over the rest of this weekend, that you would be with them, that you would guide them, lead them, Lord God, and protect them. And we just give you all the honor and glory and praise to your son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen. So Jared, did you want to say something, or because I saw your hand went down?
I think we got too far past what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, man.
No, it's fine. Like I mentioned the blame everything on straight white people thing in the comments, but I think we got too far into other stuff for me to talk about that now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, that we're blaming everything on white people. In fact, I don't think much can be blamed on white people, to be honest with you.
That's just like the narrative being pushed by popular media right now. Like you're seeing it in schools and in Hollywood and other stuff. It's just like there's even ads coming out on news articles saying be less white and all that.
Well, no, but it's the same thing. But see, that's
Yeah.
the point, though. It's the same exact thing. It's basically a lot of African Americans have been hurt, and they want justification for their hurt. And so through that, what they're doing is they're overextending it. You know, we're at a point now, and it's not a perfect place, but we're at a point now where we're really, really close to equality. But instead of just saying, okay, let's focus on being equal, now you're trying to demonize somebody in order to rise up to the next level.
Yeah.
You know, because when I talk to a lot of Black people, I'll just be honest. I'll be like, y'all just need to get y'all's SHIT together and stop complaining. Because there is a point where I can blame the rest of the world. I can say, oh, well, this person did me wrong, this person did me wrong. But then I have to say, did I get off my own butt and make my life better? So,
yeah. Did you take responsibility for yourself? This is like,
there you go. So
there's
a lot of stuff. Bye, Aaron. We'll see you later. Thanks for coming out. So yeah, so like for us, a lot of the stuff that we try to do is debunk as much as we can and try to make sure that people are focused in, because you can't be where God wants you to be and be carrying and harboring a lot of pain and hurt. But I do think that, you know, from your perspective, you can kind of understand, you know, a little bit of where the pain comes from. And so that's the only thing I would encourage you to kind of understand. But I'm not saying that Black people should demonize. I believe that they should just understand and then move on, because those are two totally different things. So let me get to Miss Tara Ann. Tara Ann, who's going to also remember everybody that's in Atlanta. Tara Ann is doing hiking today. I think it's at 6 p.m. at Stone Mountain. And Ariel, are you still doing them? Anybody in NYC, if y'all want to talk to Ariel as we're about to go away, because she's going to do something or whatever today. So you might want to reach out to her to see whether or not, you know, so Danny, I don't know if you want to reach out to Ariel or anybody else from the NYC, because we do have people from around the world that come out. So I don't know where everybody is right now. But I know Ariel is trying to do something today and also maybe this week or next week. So come on, Tara Ann.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My apologies for being one of those people who does not have a picture and cannot put on my video at this time. I am driving, but I hope all are doing well. Yes, we are meeting at 6 and hopefully we'll start our ascent to the summit at 6:15. I look forward to all of you who have RSVP'd and we will have a good time. Thank you for the presentation today, JL. And for those of you who have made your comments before, I wanted to zero in a little bit on the issue of pain. And one of the brothers indicated that therapy works. And yes, indeed it does. But not just therapy. I think that when we have an understanding of how our pain has caused us to present in life and then project toward other people, that we can have a more humble sense of self when we bring ourselves to the table, when we bring ourselves to a relationship context. I think it's also important for us not just to seek counseling and therapy, but there are other spaces, there are other healing spaces that we can make ourselves available to, that we can gain from. So if you're in a church context, there are small groups that we can be a part of. Small groups are a perfect place to be able to process some of that pain and be able to hear from like-minded others who can be supportive and loving and caring. Being a part of divorce care, that as a tool for understanding now what it is like to be divorced and what it means to show up differently. Grief share for those people who maybe are single because they lost a spouse. And again, have to kind of reconfigure what their life looks like and who they are within the context of being a widow or a widower. And so I think that as much as pain is an issue, we just have to be very intentional about engaging spaces, engaging tools and resources and people that we can get to a place of healing and wholeness so that we can present our best selves when we come to a relationship situation. So that's pretty much my share for now.
Awesome. Thank you, Tara Ann. Again, all the NYC people, Ariel just put a link in the chat to the Christian Singles Connect version of New York City. So if you want to click on that, if you are in that New York City, NYC area, that is your link. So again, I would encourage more men to talk. If any other man will have something to say or comment, it's always good to hear from the men. Steph, you want to talk? You mean you're in a place where you can start to talk, brother? Timmy, I know I've seen you.
Yeah, I can talk for a second.
Okay, go ahead, bro.
I just wanted to say that if there's a war on men, what about the conscientious objectives? The ones that they're not even trying to participate. It seems like it's a frugal point that we are battling against each other and we're seeking the same things, especially in our Christian environments. Seem like we should find some way to get along, to engage. It's even it's contentious sometimes when I look at the chat, and it seems like we should be able to talk with each other and to find some understanding, because there shouldn't be a war on a man or a woman. We shouldn't be fighting against our first law, which is just to get together, be fruitful, multiply, and subdue the earth. It's been a great conversation. I look forward to coming back again. It's my first session being here, but I look forward to being back again and maybe seeing some people in person. Peace.
Awesome. Thank you for talking. Darren, I hope I said that right. Come on, brother.
Okay, well, this is my first visit to your group, and I appreciate it. It was real insightful. I also feel like the not only is the Black man, the Black woman, it's like all women, all men, all families are being attacked. And so we have to, as men, be intentional about setting the tone for our lives, our houses, our family. You know, I am transparently a man that's been divorced twice. And some of the things that I went through in my divorce was because I hadn't addressed the issues within me. And so therapy, church, so on and so forth. But I feel like this group is a really good group, and I look forward to getting together and figuring out more. And so I greatly appreciate that. And thank you.
I appreciate you, man. I thank you for being here. And again, remember, people that have commented, y'all can comment again. I mean, we're not stopping y'all from commenting multiple times. Because at this point, especially, we can kind of talk a little bit more freely, because that's generally what happens as we get towards 1 o'clock. So if you want to say more, you can always say more, or if you just want to listen, you can listen. But like I said, especially for guys, I definitely encourage you guys to show their face more, to speak more, because women are attracted to that. So you might get some woman dropping in your DMs if y'all just talk a little more. Well, come on, Kiana. We need to hear you, Kiana. You gotta. Okay.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you now.
Okay. Is my video on? I don't know. I thought I
Yes,
pressed
ma'am.
it.
I can see you. You got your little thing under you.
I'm in the car. I was driving. But I had to write everything down because I would forget. But my biggest thing is that I don't think that it's a man issue. I don't think it's a race issue. I don't think it's a woman issue. I think that it's a spiritual issue. Like everything to me originates in the spiritual world and it manifests itself in the natural. Like I think that, the enemy, I mean, this is a Christian group, right? So I'm hoping that I'm free to speak this way. But if the enemy's number one goal is to steal, kill, and destroy, that's exactly what he's going to do. And he's going to find whatever means that he can find to accomplish that. So we're seeing division amongst women and men, blacks and whites and all these things. But really, we're just treating the symptoms and not the cause. Like everything originates in the spirit. So that was the first thing that I wanted to say. And then the second thing, I'm new to the whole dating thing, and so everything is like weird to me. Like I'm like a fish out of water. And what I'm finding in this like intentional dating space is that Christians are the same as the non-Christians. Like, and I'm like, whatever happened to us being countercultural? Like it just seems like we're following the wave of society and we're following the wave of, what's going on in the world and how the world operates, but we're supposed to be countercultural. So why is it that I guess I answered my own question. It's a spiritual issue, but it's just frustrating to kind of navigate this because I'm like, we should be better as believers than, the average person.
No, I agree with that. And you actually just opened up a whole can of worms on that one because I know we've talked about it in this group in the past about Christians dating like the world. And I find that a lot of Christians, and I kind of hate to, beat up on women a little bit on this point, but I do feel it does lean a little bit more where the women are more worldly in their dating choices than the men. But I also know that a lot of men that are in those power positions at their churches and things like that, and they get a lot of attention, they can become real worldly and become wolves among the sheep because they get so much attention. So I think it's kind of a little bit of both, and that's another reason why I encourage the men. And I've been doing this a little bit more because I'm trying to encourage the men to step up more. And it's not. And one of the things about this group is I try to, as much as I can, allow people to be people, allow everybody's personality to come through. I've been in a lot of groups where they try to suppress me. I'm very talkative, I'm very outgoing, and people try to suppress me. And it's funny that Toylan just popped up on his camera because I'm gonna give y'all a little story about Toylan. So we were at a party, I think it was last year, and all of us are sitting around, and at parties, all we do is the same thing we do here. We half the time we just talk. And so we always have a good time. And Toylan comes up and he grabs this woman by the hand and he lifts her up and he's making a point about women and men. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that Toylan was able to be Toylan. He was able to speak, he was able to ask his questions, he was able to, hold the floor. Tashawn has had many times when she has done, fully taken over. She has been the leader of the information, fully taking the floor. I do my best not to always take the floor. So that's one of the things that I encourage the men to do is be okay with taking the floor. Be okay with answering questions that the women might have or opening up questions to the women themselves. Toylan is very good about that, okay? And the reason why, guys, you want to do that is because when you do that, you're showing that you're a leader. You're showing that you're assertive. And women are attracted to that. And remember, my goal is for people to get married. It ain't got nothing to do if you're a woman or a man or whatever. I want you to win. Okay, these women got to marry somebody. I can't marry all of them. I mean, I wouldn't mind marrying all of them. I mean, there's some pretty women out here. I mean, we can have a whole lot of babies. But I mean, it might cost me a lot of money, eventually. So, I gotta share a little bit. So I'm just encouraging the men to recognize at all times that you can be yourself here. I'm gonna do my best not to suppress you, Tashawn and all the other leaders. We're not going to suppress you, man. So speak up, show up, and have your conversations. You know what I'm saying? So come on, Toiling.
What's up, everybody? So my first point is great presentation that you did today. So in recognizing that the media is distorting the mindset of a lot of people. Because you look at commercials today, how strong are men being perpetrated in commercials, television, things of that nature. When you look at TV shows, you see a 5'3" woman doing a drop kick on a 6'4", 250-pound man, and he dropped like a rock. That's just not reality, right? Or a 6'4" man hit a 5'3" woman in the jaw, and she turns her jaw and take it, and then turn it right back around and knocks him out. Not realistic, right? So we have to be mindful of what Hollywood and New York is portraying in the mindset. Second point is how many women on these calls can actually say they grew up seeing masculinity in the house? Can they actually say they saw a strong male figure lead his household and be the man that he's designed to be? So that's just one question. So if they never have seen it, then they don't know what it looks like. And more, I mean, not assume, maybe they don't know what it looks like because they might have other male influences to show them what it was. But we look at statistics when the male is not in the house, then the family it goes astray. So I would suggest is research your own the you problem, as I like to call it, and find out in the inner part of it is say, okay, do I know what a masculine man looks like? And if I don't know what a masculine man looks like, where can I go to find what a masculine man looks like so I know how to pick, so I know how to choose the right spouse when it comes to me choosing that spouse. All right, peace out, bro.
No, I mean, I definitely agree with that. We've actually gone over that a couple of times for those that are struggling with that. But I definitely agree with that, because if you did not grow up with a dad, it is a little harder. And what most of us do, despite ourselves, and we've also talked about this, is that we tend to date the same person over and over and over again in different bodies. And the reason why this happens is because you generally naturally gravitate to what you're comfortable with. So if you are comfortable with a certain type of man, then you're generally going to gravitate toward that man. So if you have dated primarily men who are more passive, who are more what we would call beta, who are not really about their business, then ladies, that's generally who you're going to date. If you tend to date guys who are cheaters, you will start to see a pattern. You'll say, well, my husband cheated, then I had another guy, he cheated, then I had another guy, he cheated. And what happens is a lot of women start to have this mindset that all men are the same, instead of recognizing that their picker is what's the problem. So this happens a lot. I mean, it's very common. It even happens with me and with men. So what we also have to understand is that we have to move to a place where we are constantly, using our mind to rethink, especially if we've been in those scenarios where we are picking the wrong person over and over and over again. Because there are great women out here, absolutely awesome women, and then there are great men out here. So if we're not finding them, we need to understand why. And that, again, is one of the reasons why I kind of encourage things a certain way. Like for men to show themselves a certain way, and for women to show themselves a certain way, because sometimes you get what you pick just because you're putting yourself in a default mode. You're putting yourself in a mode, whether it's men or women, where you're kind of setting yourself where you can't win. But it's like I said, when you have that dad at home, especially if he's a good father, because there are also bad fathers out there. But if there is good father, and Timmy says he's a great man. If he's a good father, then what he's going to do is he's going to show a woman what love is, what unconditional love is, which is what you want from your husband. Okay. And the problem is if that love that you're getting from the man is corrupted, then, you know, from your father, or it wasn't there, then it becomes very confusing on how men work. Because honestly, a lot of times, and I'm just being transparent for a second, when I have done some of my dating out here and I have dealt with a lot of American women, they don't have to tell me that they're quote unquote independent, that they are moving down this path or moving down another path, because I can feel it. Because normally when a woman would have went left, this particular girl goes right. When a woman would have done this, she does that. And I've even had to not fight with, but have had to have discussions to tell women that when we walk to a door, you are to stand there as I open the door. I've literally had to have those discussions. And then the women will tell me, well, you know, I'm so used to men not doing it. And I'm like, but boo, you with me. So if you don't hurry up and get with the program, okay, you're not gonna be on this program no more. Okay, because I'm like that. That's how I roll. Okay, and so when you're with masculinity, masculinity kind of takes over. And it doesn't take over in a way where you don't get blessed. Okay, see, I'm doing the most work. Like I said, a true leader is going to do the most work. So I'm willing to do the most work, but you got to do your job as well. So when we come to the door, you are to stand there, I'm to open it. Okay, if you're having problems, you can come to me so I can rub your back. But there will be a point where you got to rub my back too. But I don't mind doing the work. Come on, Gene.
Thank you, sir. That was all good stuff. I certainly appreciate that. As I've been divorced for a few years now, I kind of figured out that, you know, you got finding a mate is an intellectual endeavor. It can't just be emotional. It seems like you fall in love and fall in lust before you can become friends. And I've discovered you have to look for those markers of success. You know, just as I think women want men to be hardworking, industrious, and gentle, I need my woman to be hardworking, industrious, and gentle, and not harbor a lot of pain and hurt and anger. You know, you mentioned about the leadership qualities, putting others first, leaders eat last. Definitely something that, you know, I want to see in a woman, and that I'm prior military, so the leadership thing is, I understand what's involved there, and I've had to kind of separate the military side of it and bring it to this, I guess, civilian world relationship side of it, and understand what leadership is within a relationship, not on the battlefield. So it's been a journey for me, and I definitely, love is a verb, and that was something I have to keep ahead of me, that it's my actions, it's what I do, not always what I say, but finishing strong with what I do. So I definitely appreciate this forum. It's been great. I guess it's past 1 o'clock, but I'm getting a lot of insight from the men that have spoken today. So I definitely appreciate my brothers, Black and white brothers.
Yeah, I mean, Gene, we talk forever. I mean, we don't stop at one. We say that, you know, so people kind of know that we, you know, otherwise, you know, it'd be crazy. People never show up, because we've been on here. I think the latest we ever was on here was like 11 to 5. Yeah, so yeah, we like to talk. That's why I say, even when we get together, we talk. We talk too much. Like Regine can tell you, we talk a lot. We love to talk. But I do thank you, like I say, for being here, man. Anything you want to say? And I'm telling y'all, ladies, see, y'all see Gene, man. Y'all better show him y'all's pretty pictures. You know, put them cameras on. Gene might try to holler at you. He ex-military. He probably work out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He probably can lift you up. You know, y'all need to, you know, I'm trying to help y'all out, you know, do what I can. Come on, Toilet.
Okay, hey Gene, what's up, bro? Hey, the after show is always better than the program. So stay around, and you'll come to love the after show. My comment on what you were talking about, that I almost lost my train of thought. I did lose my train of thought because Gene threw me off. Let me come back. Let me think. I lost my train of thought. Gene threw me off with the after show. Hold on.
Okay, no problem, because that's how we get. Y'all know we keep talking. But I try to tell y'all straight up, man, because and I'll be trying to tell y'all women too, man, because I'm gonna say it straight up. I know sometimes people in this group, they might be looking at me, they like, Jay, you crazy. But when I'm with a woman, I'm like, okay, you with me. And if you with me, it's certain things I want. And I
Okay,
don't
Jay,
play
I
them
got you.
games. I don't play
I'm
them
back.
games. Go ahead, Toy.
Okay, hey, like I always say on here before I leave, communication is number one. Talk about it, talk about it. I know a lot of women talk about they like communication. They want communication. Are you willing to get naked with your communication? Are the men willing to get naked with their communication? Dating is a process. How long are you willing to go through that process? Do you put a time limit on your process? Do you put, say, 3 months in the process? Is long enough for a person to determine if they want to be in a long-term relationship with you? How much are you seeing? How much time are you spending with that person to even put a number on that? So let's say you only seeing somebody on a weekend, right? And you're seeing them 10 hours out of a weekend. That's only 20 hours a week out of let's count the numbers. It's 24 hours in a day. So you're talking about 20 hours out of a week, and then you three months later, you think you know them, and I'm determined I need to be in a long-term relationship with them. I beg to differ. So time should not be your enemy. Time should be your ally in the dating process to define out, is this the person that you need to be determined to be with? So don't be afraid of getting naked with that person in your conversation. And that's something I'm gonna keep saying while we're on this line, because I do think it can be a lost cause when we talk about communication.
No, that's what's up. That's what's up. I'm always about communication. But we gotta teach Gene to be better about his DMs, man. We know you DMing right now because you like all over and looking like, oh crap, what is somebody doing? So you gotta, learn to be way back here, when you
No,
DMing.
I'm
Otherwise,
looking.
we all know your business.
I'm trying to look up for Timmy. Timmy's been taking it all day, so I'm trying to look out.
Oh, Timmy know what he doing. He know what he here for. He ain't playing around with y'all. He trying to get his. But remember, we
Hey,
Christians, Timmy. So you
it's kind
gotta
of hard to
be
keep
good.
up with that, with the chat going at the same time. But I did want to chime in on that time thing. He is so right. You do need to be dedicated with your time. And I'm a busy person. I'm sure everyone is busy. I can't get off screen now because I'm operating my tractor trailer, and so meeting someone one time in a week, that's not enough. Even seeing them twice in a week sometimes, that's not enough. If you really want to get to know somebody, you need to make yourself available. You need to think about proximity and how often you can meet to see someone to get to know them. And so I think it's very important that we do focus on our time, and let someone know quickly. If you like them, let them know. If you don't, you need to kind of move forward, but definitely don't waste time. There's a lot of people they have a Christian mindset. My mom and dad, they met each other 3 times. On the 3rd time, they were getting married. And so I just think that we should kind of focus, just like my man said. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
No, I love it, man. I appreciate that. Like I said, I mean, that's exactly what we want. We want, everybody to chime in as much as we can. And I am definitely all about that right there. Definitely. Come on, Daisy.
Yes, this is my final comment, then I'll shut up. I have 2 questions after my comment, but I just wanted to exhort the men on this group and, the men I know, men in my life, and it's important to us women that you stay in your position. Don't let society here, because the society here is so persuasive. Don't let it shake you, because there's still women like us who know what the Bible says, that still believe in the man being who he's meant to be. We don't buy into what Hollywood says. We don't buy into what media says. So we need you to stand your ground. Okay, there's nothing that pains my heart than seeing a weak, passive man. That is such an abnormality. It's something that is not meant to be. I mean, the woman shouldn't act like a man and the man shouldn't act like a woman. There should be clear lines because God made it so. And he made it so for a reason. So I just want to encourage you that there are still women who believe in that, regardless of what the society is saying. So don't get confused by weak women, vain women, silly women who don't know what they're supposed to be like. Don't listen to them. Don't get confused by what they're saying because they themselves have lost the plot. Like the Bible says, it was the woman that was deceived. The man was not, and yet he fell. So we have our power, but unfortunately some women will have misused and will continue to misuse their power. But there's still those of us who still believe in the right way to use our power to embolden you, to support you, to help you. And that's that. There's more I can say about that, but I'll just leave it there. So I just have 2 questions for the guys. When I was reading the forum during the week prior to this, one guy in the comment was saying he doesn't know how to approach women these days because what did he say? Okay, he's afraid of liability, of accusations. So I was wondering, if you guys are afraid to approach women, what's your strategy as a Christian man or as a traditional man? How do you expect things to play out? Do you want us to approach you, or do you want us pulling out your chairs? What do you want? That's question number 1. So I'll leave you to answer that first.
Okay, well, I mean,
Let me chime on that.
Okay, go ahead, Seth.
I think if you want to look at it from the Christian perspective, the scripture says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. And so just because it says you find something, it doesn't mean you're necessarily looking for it. If I find $100 on the ground outside of Walmart, I wasn't necessarily looking for $100 on the ground at Walmart. I went to Walmart for something specific. In other words, that $100 happened to be in my way. And there are many scriptures that say when you walk in the way, when you travel in the way, and as you go in the way. And I would challenge some of our ladies to just really think about just getting in the way. But you don't have to, the old handkerchief, sometimes you just, as men, we are clueless. We're walking around and we're busy. We're so busy trying to be on our purpose that we only need something small to catch our attention. It doesn't have to be blatantly obvious. A woman doesn't have to step out of her being feminine. But when you get in the way with your femininity, just let that shine. And you'd be surprised what attracts a man. Just a turn, a look, a raise of the eyebrow, a brush back of the hair. Even if a slightly longer than a half a second stare. And we don't know many times that you're interested. And because of those barriers, we have to make sure that we don't overstep our boundaries because things have changed. But as you go, just go in the way. And as we walk, we'll find the good thing.
I love that, man. Yeah, see, y'all need to be, well, he said he in a truck, so y'all can't, text him right now. But y'all need to, remember that man right there, Seth. He trying to come up. Gene then left. He trying to come up right now, boy. And Timmy's still trying to work that chat. I got to give him props for that. But no, I mean, I really couldn't.
Message him on Meetup.
Yeah, I can.
Direct message him on Meetup.
Yeah, but remember we Christian. But Tashawn is right. But yeah, I mean, what he said, I think is really good. And the reason why, I'm just going to add one little small thing before you go to your second question. One of the things for the ladies, and y'all know, many of y'all have heard me say this before, y'all got to get out. Y'all have to get out. Y'all have to get out, because a lot of the ladies, they love to hide behind their doors and they stay in their house and they never get out. And then they wonder why I ain't got no man. And the years are going by and by and by, but they didn't watch every show on Netflix. Okay, you got to get out. You got to get out. You have to get out. That's why we have so many meetings. That's why we have events. And even we're trying to go into new cities like New York, because we want you guys to get out as much as possible, because we want you to be in, in the way or whatever it is. So just like Seth said, we want you out there so that, you can find your person. And CSC is all about creating a high school type of vibe where you can get to be friends, where you can just hang out. So guys who are a little bit more shy, it makes it easier for them to talk to the women if the women are always coming out. So we do encourage you to come out. If you don't like one of our events or you want a different type of event, all you have to do is talk to one of the organizers. We're very open to trying different types of events just to make sure that that can occur. So Daisy, are you done with your questions?
All the guys didn't answer. I wanted to hear all the guys.
Well, Jamar has his hand up, so he might answer that and give us something else for us to ponder. Come on, Jamar.
Yeah, I just want to speak back on that topic of approachability. I have had women come up to me and give themselves their number, and I've gone out and had to go through the process of getting women's numbers. Most recently, I had the opportunity to make a decision between two different women, and while one was more attractive, one was unattractive. While one was more attractive, the woman who made herself more available to me was the one who ultimately won, because she put herself in a position for me to be able to speak to her more, to be able to see her more. And part of it was she took it after we had gone out a few times. And at this point, I had gone out with both women at least 3 times. She was the one who was still texting me and or giving me a call just to check in to see how I was doing. Whereas the other woman didn't do that process. So you can argue if that's her responsibility or whatnot, but ultimately one woman was chosen over the other. And part of it was because that one woman made herself available to me.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Darren, what's up?
Yeah, sometimes in that approach, men, from the man side, we have to be intentional. If we are in that phase of wanting a relationship, we might kind of exude that. However, there are times, just transparently for me, when I've kind of been blocked off and shielded. And so I would be like, nah, I'm not interested. Actually, for me, sometimes I would wear a ring on my ring finger just to kind of say, hey, I ain't really. But then you have some women that a ring on their finger doesn't not attract the man. And so somebody will say, hey, are you married? And I'll explain, no, I'm not married, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's, it goes to, it builds that conversation. However, on the flip side of it, if you saw a ring on my finger, what was you really coming from? What were you really looking for? And so, there are little signs for men, as a man, that I look for. And if I got a ring on my finger, I should be off limits. Period. Because you might be attracted to that type of dude. And my future wife, my queen, my Ruth, nah, she's not gonna go for that.
No, that's what's up too. That's what's up.
So thank you guys. is Jared going to say anything?
Jared, you gonna say something? She wants you to comment on, saying something to women. So if you see a woman,
Me?
yeah, only Jared. We value your opinion, man.
Maybe you like to be chased instead.
No, I'm just really socially awkward.
Don't worry, we all are, man. We all trying to get through.
Well, you know, I really don't know what to say.
Don't worry about it, man.
You haven't
Like I
thought
said,
about it, how you want it to play out in your head?
It would be so nice if like some things weren't so completely one-sided nowadays. Like y'all know what I mean?
No, I know
Like,
exactly what you mean.
yeah, everything's geared to like specific groups of people, and like it's all this person's fault, this kind of thing. Like I'm kind of I'm kind of like fearful of talking about certain things, and like I'm not in the best place financially, so if I say something and a whole like swarm of people come at me just for having a certain opinion, like I won't be able to find work anymore and stuff like that. So I'm very, very, very cautious to speaking about anything nowadays. It's really hard.
No, I get it, man. It's like I said, I mean, the world we live in now, everything is just crazy. It is absolutely crazy.
Like I hate to say it, the popular thing is if you're a straight white person, you're not allowed to say anything. You have to be quiet and let all these other people talk, and like things is well, straight white and male, I should say male. It's become like a huge thing. It's even taught in schools now. There was a lot of Black parents recently that were like calling this out in their schools recently, and like it made me a bit hopeful. Like we're all coming together and talking about this issue. But the big media sources weren't covering it. It was only like a couple of people on like YouTube or something that were talking about it. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I'm very cautious about talking about things.
No, I get it, man, because, it's like you said, I mean, we just live in a world that a lot of people take things and they go in the wrong direction with them. And that's kind of what we're saying about the media today, is that the media manipulates things and stuff like that, takes things out of context. But just to finish up with Adeze's question was just about, just how do men approach women? And I think every man approaches differently,
Yeah.
And from what I've seen is, like I say, for me, I've talked about this in the group before. I was married, not necessarily young, but I got in a relationship with my ex-wife at 19. So I never really had to approach her. Me and her were both in English class. And so now that I'm older, it's actually a little bit more difficult for me to approach because I just don't have the skill set. And people might say, well, it's easy. You just walk up to a woman and say, well, it's easy when you say that when you've been doing it for 20 years. or 10 years or 5 years or whatever it was. But for me, that never happened. So it's kind of asking, you know, go chop down a tree. And you say, well, it's easy. I've seen it on TV, you know, but you've never done it. So you're going to be cautious. And for everybody on here, I've actually chopped down a tree before. And it actually is easy. It's just like you see it on TV. But until you do it a couple of times, you're not going to feel comfortable. So one of the things that, you know, I'm always trying to remind the women in this group, Jared, is that, you know, men come in different ways and they go about their strategy. So you're going to have guys that are going to be that guy that just walks straight up. Then you're going to have other guys where you have to give him the eyes or the smile or whatever it is for him to approach. And then you're going to have situations kind of like where people just kind of come together. And so my goal is always to try to create as many opportunities as possible, not necessarily try to blame one person or another for their particular strategy. So does anybody else have a different type of question or anything like that? Because I think we're starting to get a little late unless we're going to go into somebody else just has something else they want to bring up or talk about.
Real quick, I should mention I'm a bit hungry and tired, so my brain isn't at full capacity at the moment.
No, I get it. That's, you didn't see me when I just ate this because I am hungry. So I
have not had a lot of coffee. My blood sugar's low.
Okay, no problem. Let me move on. I'm hoping I'm saying this right. You came in?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, what's up?
I know I'm not on video. I'm shy as hell. Sorry.
Oh, hey, at least you got your picture up. So that's the main thing.
No, I was just saying, I'm currently in Houston. And so I don't know if you guys have this connecting in Houston, but I mean, Atlanta seems like they have a lot of fun activities and things. And I would like to visit because I want to go on a little vacation. And I'm originally I grew up in New York City. I am Nigerian by descent. I grew up in New York City with my parents, my family. And I moved to Houston because New York was just getting really hard and stuff with like rent and things. And so Houston is fun, but I feel like when I go to the meetups, like when I scroll through them, it seems like Atlanta has a whole lot of activities and a lot of opportunities to meet people. Like I feel like Atlanta has more stuff, like a lot, like millions compared to Houston.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to do in Houston. I mean, my mom's from Houston, so I've been there a lot. But we actually have a couple of members who live in Houston. I don't know if anybody's on today, but we do have several that are in Houston, several that are in Dallas. We just haven't had somebody to step forward yet to want to do the activities piece in Houston. Excuse me. So one of the things that we're doing now, and I think as we do more with NYC, it will teach us a lot more about how to really work with all of the different groups. And as we expand across the country, you know, how to really make sure that each area is taken care of. But no matter what the situation is, until we have people that step up, there's nothing we can really do. So if you're thinking about stepping up,
I know what I'm about to say. Come to Atlanta.
No, I'm talking about you do it right where you are.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? We're doing satellites now.
Oh,
So
okay.
we have the main one is here in Atlanta. Then we have another satellite in NYC, and we have another satellite in East Alabama.
Oh, it's like Mobile, Alabama or something? Because I have
it's right outside of Birmingham. It's to the east of Birmingham. So that area is like like a cluster of 5 small towns. So that area is now a part of CSC. And one day we may very much have CSC Houston.
Okay.
So what would happen is, and anybody else that's listening from different cities, what happens is that people will still come here, for the main meeting, but then you'll have activities in your environment based off of whoever is the activity person in that environment.
That's cool.
You know,
I mean,
that way you can still get the lessons, but you can have fun. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I've never really visited Atlanta before. I've only been there when I was transitioning a flight to
Mhm.
come back home to New York years ago when I had traveled out of the country. But I would like to visit because it seems like it's sort of like it's another huge city, like really with a lot of stuff going on. So I'm curious to know what it's like. So I'll visit one day. Maybe if you guys are having like a outdoor activity, like actual non-virtual get together like this, like but in the actual physical room.
Yeah, I mean, we do that. We're actually setting up for 2 meetings, if that's what you're talking about, more of the meeting information. We're setting up to do 2 in-person ones, one in July and one in August. So we're trying to lock those in now, but we also do activities like we're doing the scavenger hunt on the Beltline. And so that's going to be, like I say, a lot of fun. So right now, I think maybe 40 people or 50 people are signed up, and we'll show up on what the Atlanta Beltline is, like one of the big tourist places now. And so we're going to show up out there at Pond City Market, and everybody will get their scavenger list, and they will have to go find those items. And we will have prizes for them, you know, for whoever wins. But it's a great time to get out, have fun, meet with people of CSC. But we try to do events every month. So if you ever want to come to Atlanta, you know, just let us know. And then also let us know because, you know, a lot of times when people come into town, we will make a meeting just for you. We will make an event just for you. And we've had about, I think Tashawn can probably correct me, but we probably had about 5 people from different cities to literally fly in just for CSC, you know, just to talk to us and meet with us and have a good time with us. So we're always doing things. But again, for all those in Atlanta, y'all need to get out. Y'all need to get out and join us in person because Amazon don't deliver men.
Oh, that's nice to know. That's nice to know that at least I'm not gonna, when I come there to visit, I know that, okay, there's this group called the Christian Singles Connect. Okay. So I'm not gonna feel kind of lost. I'll feel like there's, you know, like I can find a direction of where to meet you guys and what to do, you know, without feeling overwhelmed and being around a bunch of, going up to a random place. I'm like, okay, who are these people? Like, at least I know they're people that I've chatted with on here. I've actually been on video a few times on your last couple of meetings. I don't know if you still remember. I go by Kimmy. I have been on video. I'm just not ready right now because I just woke up.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But it's like I say, I'm trying to hook you up because there might be some people out in, you know, out in Houston that want to holler at you, or it might be some dudes in Atlanta or in DC or whatever that might see you and be like, yo, I fly to Houston to holler at you.